because of that, we have a few different priorities. So maybe one of the biggest priorities, I think it was #1 on the resident survey, and it's big for us, is about maintenance, right? It's about making sure that you've got high quality housing and that we're getting to maintenance issues quickly. So I just want to point out to everybody after I finish talking, in the way back corner, close to those blue double doors, there is a table where they're actually showing you a demonstration of a new system we have called Work Order Touch, where we're moving all the work orders onto an electronic system. And our folks who work for us are able to, they get them on an iPad or a phone, they can do them, they can take pictures of the work that's done, they can report instantly that it's been done or not done. If there's a plumber in your building and you file a plumbing need, we could send it straight to his phone and he could deal with it before he leaves, right? So this is a big technology change for the BHA, and it's aimed at dealing with one of the main things I hear from residents, which is frustration about how long it takes to do work orders, and also sometimes just not knowing when the work order is going to happen. So I want you guys to know that that's something we're really focused on. And there's a gentleman named Josh Uftring who just took over our maintenance and inspections. He's our new chief of maintenance and inspections. So make sure you find Josh and introduce yourself. And we're really, really excited about that. So I just want you guys to know that we know that maintenance is a #1 priority here at BHA, and it's something that we're really trying to modernize and be as efficient about as possible. So that's thing one. Another thing that was our second biggest priority from the residents at BHA after maintenance was public safety. So can I get our interim chief of police, Dean Jenkins, raise your hand, there we go. So some of you may know BHA police went all the way down to just 3 police officers. So a few years back, the whole plan was just to end BHA police. And then one of the things that the BHA heard was, you know, it's really important. We want police officers who know the residents, who know the developments, who walk around, who are connected to us. We don't want to see the BHA police go away. And that was a big challenge because the whole reason they were going away is because the federal government cut all the money for housing authority police. So then actually Mayor Wu stepped up and the city said, hey, we'll give you some money to support this. And so because of that, we've been able to hire a couple new classes of BHA officers, and we've been rebuilding the department. And some of you will have known Chief Shumaine Benford, who was leading this effort. He was doing it so well that Somerville stole him from us. So now he's the chief of police at Somerville. But part of building that department up has also been, who was then the deputy, is now our chief of police, Dean Jenkins. And the big effort that we're having is that now that we have enough police officers, we're really trying to have a neighborhood engagement team model where any public housing development you're in the territory of one of our BHA police officers, and that person can be your point person, and you can make sure that any issue that's on your radar from public safety is on their radar. And one of the other big things is we're just getting closer and closer collaboration with Boston Police, because we want to be able to raise the issues for BHA residents to Boston Police and see real responsiveness. So the chief is going to a meeting that the commissioner of police holds every couple of weeks, where they kind of huddle about all the major priorities and all the major issues in safety in the city. And our BHA police have been involved in a lot of really serious actions in recent months, and are just doing a really, really good job. And they're all academy trained officers. They're fantastic. I know I saw Officer Stevens around. Yeah, I think there's some other folks here. So please, again, introduce yourself to the chief, introduce yourself to Officer Stevens. So, you know, in maintenance, we're trying to do this whole tech transformation and make it much more responsive to you. And we've also hired Greg. Where's Greg? We have a new director of customer service. There he is in the back. I can't hear you, but waving his hand. So Greg, customer service, Josh, maintenance. Like, we have folks who are really focused on how do we transform our systems to be more responsive. And then on public safety, we are building back the department, and we are really tightening those relationships with the neighborhood, with you guys, and with the police department. So these are big initiatives for us going forward. A third priority that was on residents' lists was economic mobility. So we want our housing, right, to be a platform. We know it's almost impossible to get a job, hold a job, build wealth if you don't have housing. Right, we all know that. But once you have housing, we want that to be a big possibility for our residents. So we've got several big initiatives on this, and I just want everybody to have them in mind and also to find the tables about them. So some of you have probably heard about our First Home initiative, which is helping BHA residents, if you have enough income, And there are some constraints around like credit score and stuff that HUD puts on it, but basically we can help you with accessing the ability to buy a home. So there is staff, there is down payment assistance, there's this great Section 8 to homeownership program that that HUD has, and this was another thing where the city gave us some money, Mayor Wu gave us some money to work on this, and we used to only have 2 families a year using the Section 8 to homeownership program, and now just in the last year we've had 50 families successfully buy a home in Boston. So yeah, we can give those families a round of applause. And I know for instance Jenny Marcelin is here, who's waving right now, who is one of our BHA residents who has bought a home, and we're so proud of that program, and it's been so successful that just last month the city council actually voted to give us more money to keep doing the program. So it's very exciting. So that's a big deal for us. Another big thing is family self-sufficiency, FSS. Some of you guys are hopefully signed up for that. We actually, BHA has grown our FSS program to be the 3rd largest one in the country. So huge credit, yeah, it's awesome. So the FSS program, if you don't know, it's a way that if your income's at one level and you sign up for FSS and then you start making more money, instead of all that more money, right, you're just increasing your rent to BHA, that increased rent goes into a savings account for you, which you get when you graduate the program. So it's a big deal. It can be really transformative. A bunch of our homeowners, like Jenny, have used FSS to build up some money that they then used for the down payment. So if you're at all interested in that, we've got a table in the back on FSS, and that's like another big initiative. So one of the things that we're saying to HUD in this 5-year plan is, we now have one of the biggest FSS programs in the country, but the majority of the people who have signed up are voucher holders. They're our leased housing folks, and we want to make it so that just as many people are signed up on the public housing side. So that's one of our big goals. So those are kind of like 3 of the top goals that we heard back from residents. We also have a couple other, maybe 3 other quick things that I want to talk about. So one of them is, some of you have probably heard that the BHA is focused on decarbonizing, having our housing go green, right? And sometimes people don't know what that means, or they're like, I don't know, what's in it for me if the housing goes more green? Well, we're really excited about this because, for example, when we switch from conventional heating to heat pumps, one of the great things is that for the first time we're going to have central air conditioning in a lot of our units that don't have it today. So we're super excited about that, and it's an initiative that we're working on at Mildred Haley, at Franklin Field. We've got plans at Pond Street, a couple of our other developments. So we're trying to make it so that your air quality is better, you get heating and cooling, and then at places like Mildred Haley, we're doing really big deep energy retrofits that also give people new kitchens and baths and floors and just like a brand new unit feel, while also making the whole envelope of the building much tighter. So this is something where, it used to be that we could never get anybody in government to give us money for the big kind of maintenance systems, and that's one of the frustrations for BHA for the long term. And now with the focus on green, we're actually able to get some of the money for that core stuff by making it a green focus. So we see it as a dual thing where it's like better resident quality of life, and we're also, using less fossil fuels. And on that front, I want to give a huge shout out. Most people here probably know that the BHA gets its money at 3 different levels. We get money from the federal government, money from the state government, and money from the city. There's a bunch of people here, and I'm looking at Nicole because she's right in front of me, but there's a whole bunch of residents who are involved in efforts through the RAB, through GBIO, to really push on the state government to give us more money. And they got a huge housing bond bill passed. So for those folks who are in state public housing, there's a lot more state money coming in the coming year because of the advocacy of those residents. So I really want to give a quick round of applause for everybody who helped make that happen. So the other thing that we're trying to do, and there's a table over there about it, is make sure that we're able to keep growing the amount of affordable housing that we have in the city, and especially deeply affordable housing, which is what we do at BHA. So we actually have the right from the federal government to have 3,000 more BHA units than we have today. Those are called Faircloth units, and so we have a plan to try to build all 3,000 of those over the next 10 years. And that's because, as many of you were all probably at some point on one of our wait lists, many of you are fortunately BHA residents now. Some other folks in the room may still be on our wait lists. Our wait list just for public housing is 42,000 families long. So it's really, really hard for us because our admissions staff sees every day just the many thousands of families who they're not able to help. And so for us, if we can get 3,000 more units, that doesn't solve the whole 42, but it's 3,000 more families who get to live anchored in the city of Boston. So we have a big plan to try to do that, and we've located a whole bunch of sites where we think we could do it, and we've talked to other departments that might own a piece of land they're not using, and we say, hey, what about if we put some units here? So that's like another big initiative of ours. And the last one is, many of you may be at sites that either have converted or are going through the process of a conversion and a redevelopment. So I wanted to say a word about that. Something that is really important for folks to know is that a lot of our historical problems at BHA have to do with the fact that the federal government doesn't give us enough money for public housing units. They might give us like $600 a month a unit to operate the unit. That means that's $600 total to pay the maintenance staff, to pay the managers, to buy the supplies. It's just not enough to run housing. So the key thing is when we do these conversions, we switch to a platform where instead the federal government gives us $3,000 a month for the same unit. So that's a really big change, and it means that we don't have to then build up the same maintenance backlog we had before. We can just stay on top of keeping the units high quality from the beginning. So when you hear about a site that's transitioning from public housing to project-based vouchers or RAD, that's what it's doing. We're getting it so that we're going to get more money per unit so that we can give you high quality housing and keep it high quality. The important thing that I want everybody to know about that is that the number one BHA goal in any conversion and any redevelopment is we're doing it for the residents that we have already. So we're very focused on, actually a lot of our projects, we're trying to make it so that almost everyone only has to do one-way moves, or we might do a very short, like occupied rehab so that we can like get you out only for a couple weeks and then have you back. And we write a lot of protections, and we actually work with our partners at the Greater Boston Legal Services and other places to write a lot of protections in to make sure that the new housing that we're creating is new housing for the people who are a part of our communities now. So I just want to say that that's a really important priority for us, and really our goal with all of these redevelopments is to make sure that you, the people who we serve every day, get the highest quality housing possible. So those are a bunch of the key goals for the BHA going into the future. Another, just one that I really want to end on stressing is, can I get a wave from the Youth Council folks? Youth Council, just wave over there. Yeah, here we go. So can we get an applause for the Youth Council? So I mentioned before that, one of our roles at BHA is making sure that our seniors can stay in Boston. We also think it's really, really important that we keep a space for families and for people to grow up in Boston. And those are our future leaders. They're our future rabble-rousers, our future folks who are going to drive the direction of this community. And so BHA is really proud to have partnered with Spoke around having a youth council. And they do a whole bunch of arts projects and community building projects, but they also do a lot focused themselves on the future of the BHA and where are we going and where should we be going, and really raising their voices about what we need to pay attention to. So the Youth Council folks have a survey that's about what you think the BHA needs to do and what's going right and what's going wrong. And so before you leave today, try to find one of them and fill out the survey, because they're doing a really great job of collecting that information. You might have seen them at the Unity Days this summer, and they're just a fantastic group, so we're very, very proud of them. I think just the one other thing that I missed and I want to mention is we have a big digital equity push going on at BHA. So hopefully many of you have had opportunities to go to digital equity classes, access laptops, graduate those, but you're going to keep seeing more and more of that because we have a partnership to make more of that available. So I hope that everybody's engaging with that. So I just want to end by saying, like I did at the beginning, this is the most important public institution in the city. It's important because of all of you. BHA is very proud. I think a lot of you probably know this history, but the reason that I'm the administrator of BHA and not the executive director is because there was a change in the way that BHA was governed now 50 years ago almost. And it was because the tenants said, we need a more responsive BHA leadership. And so there was a big lawsuit, and it resulted in a receivership, and it resulted in the BHA's Tenant Majority Monitoring Committee, which still exists to this day. And so really, like, for us at the BHA, our history over the recent decades is one where resident leadership is totally central to what we do. When I think about the redevelopments that we've done, they've all been driven by resident leaders who said we need transformation at these sites. And so as we think about the future of the BHA and the 5-year plan, we really want it to be something that's building on the feedback of all of you. So please find out about the initiatives today, talk to our staff, give more feedback, come and find me, and just thank you all so much for caring about the Boston Housing Authority. And now I'm going to encourage folks to go to the tables, go learn things, grab some food. We're gonna take the lid off the food, and please do come and find me and introduce yourselves. Thank you all.